Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. Going to have a look at the weather for next week's 10 days. For today's video, about takes around the 15th of December. So heading into the middle part of the month with the week 10 day video update time frame now. We'll be able to extend out beyond that. The extended GFS and ECM ensembles may run to around a couple of weeks. That takes us up towards the Christmas period, of course. I have a look at Beijing Climate Centre today for the next 40 days. That will take us into the opening day or two of 2020, of course. So again, I'll be very short. We'll start off with the Arctic and North Atlantic oscillations. Just say I've got a bit of a cough today, so I may need to stop and have a little drink of water. But we'll persevere, I'm sure we'll get through it together. Right, so we're going to start off with the Arctic Oscillation Observed and Forecast chart. So the black line here shows where we've been with the Arctic Oscillation. The red lines at the end show where GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to go. So this is just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state, of course. It's not driving anything in its own terms. It's just telling us what the atmosphere is doing. When the Arctic Oscillation is in its negative phase, you're going to have high pressure over Pi, have blocking. But when the Arctic Oscillation is in positive phase, you'll have low pressure over the pole. And in the winter, a positive AO is kind of like a signal for a strengthened westerly zonal flow across the Atlantic, really. So the Arctic Oscillation has been in quite a negative phase, where it was through most of November. Round the turn of the month, from November to December, it started to go positive. That's where we are right now with the AO. In very, very positive territory indeed. I think that's the most positive the AO has been since last winter. Excuse me. But the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to drop down towards neutral in around a week or so's time. However, after that, the extended range GFS ensemble members are forecasting the AO to go back into significantly positive territory again. So certainly up to the middle part of December, looks as though the AO is going to be in its positive phase, which is a signal for westerlies, for a zonal flow across the northern hemisphere, and for westerlies to be powering across the Atlantic into Europe. At the same time, the NEO observed and forecast chart is looking like this. So again, the black line shows where we've been with the NEO. Red lines at the end where GFS ensembles are forecasting the NEO to go. As with the AO, this is just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state. It's not driving anything in its own terms. It just tells us what the atmosphere is doing. When the NEO is in its positive phase, again, that's a signal for westerlies. You're going to have a strengthened area of low pressure around Iceland. Excuse me again, and the Azores, and high pressure strengthened through the Azores, and that will increase the westerly zonal flow. Conversely though, when the NEO goes into its negative phase, you're going to have high pressure setting up around Iceland and low pressure through the Azores, and so a negative NEO, particularly combined with a negative AO, will tend to be a signal at this time of year for colder conditions. Well, the NEO is in its positive phase at the moment. That's where it is right now. And no real deviation from that, actually, over the next couple of weeks into the second half of December. The GFS ensembles are generally keeping the NEO in its positive phase right way through to the middle part of the month and beyond. So this is telling us that the next week, 10 days, probably next couple of weeks, we are going to see a strengthened westerly flow, and therefore we can expect it to be very unsettled. We can expect to have strong winds at times, and just a little bit of an Atlantic onslaught, a little bit of an Atlantic battering could be on the way. That doesn't necessarily mean it will be very mild, though. Often at this time of year, when you have the AO and the NEO positive, it will be a very mild signal. But sometimes it can actually be, you can actually get cold, what calls up cold zonality, and that's where the jet stream lines up northwest to southeast, and with the areas of low pressure, we're pulling colder air from the north around the areas of low pressure. And that's the kind of thing we've got coming up in the next week, 10 days. We see this on the 500 millibar high anomaly flow charts from Penn State University with the ECMWF on the top and the GFS on the bottom. So 500 millibars is an area in the absolute high pressure and low pressure being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates high pressure and blue extrapolates to low pressure. So we can see with the ECMWF taking us to the middle of December that we have this area of below average height sitting over to the north of the country. The black line showing where the jet stream is. Jet stream is generally a little bit to our south. So we are lining the jet stream up northwest to southeast. We're close to that big area of low pressure, and therefore it looks very unsettled, but not overly mild. The wind around that area of low pressure is coming in from sort of Greenland and the North Atlantic into the UK and western part of Europe. And so that is a cool and unsettled signal. For northern areas, that could be quite cold. You can get a lot of snow from that over the Scottish mountains. This is how the GFS is looking. It's very similar, but it's even lower with the low pressure. So look at that purple colours turning up there to the north of the UK. That's quite rare on these charts. So that's exceptionally deep low pressure. Again, a strong jet stream coming across the Atlantic, but aligned a little bit northwest to southeast. So around the low pressure, we could well start to pull in, excuse me, some colder air from the north. And of course, with the low pressure, we expect bouts of rain and strong to gale force winds at times with such deep low pressure is definitely likely. And as the low pressures exit away to our east, we could pull down some quite cold air from the north around those areas of low pressure at times. Again, the black line shows what the jet stream is. You see that the jet stream is generally just a little bit to our south. So we're on the cold side of the jet. We don't have any northern blocking. If we had got northern blocking, we would have seen it on the AO observed and forecast chart where we would be forecasting it to go negative. So we haven't got northern blocking. We're not pushing very cold Arctic air into this trough of low pressure. But nevertheless, it's cold zonality. So for northern parts of the country in particular, there is a little bit of wintry potential with this pattern. Even though it is a very westerly type pattern. I'll just stop and have a little drink of water. So the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles are looking like this. The red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Wolverhampton. Looking at Wolverhampton today, and this is another suggested location for this section of the video. If you'd like to have your local town or city featured within this part of the video, then all you need to do is ask us through the Gaz Weather Vids comments, or you can email us at gazweathervids@gmail.com. Or alternatively, you can ask us via our Facebook and Twitter accounts. We're always happy to add your local town or city to this part of the video. Next few days is going to be mild generally, so a bit up and down. That's what we call a zonal sine wave, where we're pulling in warmer and cooler sectors. So up until like the early part of next week, it's relatively mild. Once you even that out, it looks as though it should actually be around average, but at this time of year, a zonal sine wave will tend to give you milder than average condition because you don't get the cold nights. So up until around the open next week, it's milder than average. Then we go colder than average mode through next week. See how the upper air temperatures are dropping up to the middle part of December. So that's our cold zonal phase. Then into the second half of December, we might see signs that the temperatures are beginning to push up a little bit then as we're moving up towards the Christmas period, possibly going a little bit milder, though there is a lot of scatter in there. But this is the period of cold zonality by the look of it just here. And that's sort of taking us from around the 11th, 12th to around the 17th, 18th of December, something like that. And turning more unsettled as well. We have had around a week of drier weather, but any time from now onwards, it's going to start getting a bit more unsettled. We see where the precipitation spikes are coming back. So there'll be plenty of rain to come over the next week to 10 days. And certainly for northern parts of the country, we can expect some significant snowfalls over high ground. So this is the sort of pattern that the Scottish ski resorts are going to do very, very well with. Early snowfalls over Scottish mountains. And maybe a little bit at lower levels across parts of Scotland. Wouldn't expect much more than cold rain down in the south. But you never know with this. You can get a few surprises. Temperature anomalies from the 5th to the 13th of December above average. So it could be a milder than average week coming up. So that's mainly due to the fact that from sort of today right way through to the early part of next week, it's mild and average. I would expect these temperature anomaly charts to start dropping in a couple of days' time. Precipitation anomalies, above average rainfall, particularly for the northern and western parts of the country, nearer normal elsewhere. That's how the GFS 6 o'clock run is looking for Sunday. Wet and windy, low pressure driving in off the Atlantic. Winds turning to the north through the early part of next week as that low pressure clears away to our east. We start to pull down a cold snap from the north, but not for long, because by Tuesday in comes the next batch of wet and windy weather sweeping across the country. That low clears away into Denmark on Wednesday next week. Winds go back into the north. That's pulling down cold air from the north through the middle of next week. This is Thursday, a week's time. It's the general election, of course, next Thursday, 12th of December. We're in quite a cold air mass and low pressure heading in from off the Atlantic. Could be snow showers across the northern parts of the country. As the low pressure comes into that cold air, it might start to deliver something a little bit wintry, excuse me, again, up in the north. Through the end of next week, yes, we keep this cold zonal weather going with, again, deep areas of low pressure to the north of the country, heavy bouts of rain, possibly cold enough for snow in the north at times, and winds are strong to gale force from a northwesterly direction. Certainly doesn't look particularly mild. That's how we are at day 10. Just beginning to build some pressure towards Spain and Portugal. That's going to have a go at pulling up some milder air from the southwest. In the extended range, it turns very mild for a while. This is 16th of December. High pressure then is setting up over France, Spain and the Mediterranean. That's starting to drag up some really mild air from the Azores and from the Canary Islands. So 16th, 17th of December going very mild. But then as we head up towards Christmas, it actually starts to turn quite a lot colder as high pressure then begins to build towards Iceland. It's going to have a go at turning wind into the north. I think all of that is very speculative. Anything from around day 10 onwards I would take with a large pinch of salt at the moment. That's how the GM is looking. Wet and windy to start Sunday. That gets out of the way. Leaves us with a cold northerly wind, bringing wintry showers into the north for Monday. Little bit of a transient ridge of high pressure there on Tuesday. However, the next low is moving in on Wednesday. That's bringing heavy rain, possibly some hill snow in the north as it comes into that colder air. That's Thursday into a cold, showery type pattern for Thursday. More low pressure heading in off the Atlantic on Friday. Again, probably bring rain to the south. Could be snow in the north as that low comes into the cold air once again. And then moving up towards day 10, that's how we're looking. And very unsettled up to day 10 with quite cold conditions, especially so up in the north. ECM looks like that. So again, wet and windy to start Sunday. That gets out of the way. And then we're going to have a go at turning wind into the north. I don't think we've got the ECM charts loaded up, so we'll have to put them in manually. So this is how we look on Monday the 9th, turning wind into the north, bring some colder air down from the north on Monday. So that could bring wintry showers, particularly to northern parts of the country. Little transient bump of high pressure might start us off with a frost on Tuesday, but the next low is waiting in the wings. And as we get through into Wednesday, we're back to wet and windy weather, and there could be a little bit of hail snow involved with that up in the north. That's Thursday, looking cold and showery for the general election. Quite windy too, and probably kind of wintry showers in the north. Could be more persistent rain down in the south. By Friday, 13th, low pressure is moving into the North Sea. That's turning wind into the north, so it's becoming colder again. Wintry showers could be extending southwards there. Across the country. Back to wet and windy weather though as we go through to Saturday the 14th, a real onslaught from the Atlantic with this one. And as we get to day 10 with the ECM, again we're in this strong cold zonal flow, bring wind in from west to northwest. Could well be wintry showers in the north. You see the upper air temperatures do look quite cold, and -5 Celsius ice covering many parts of the country. So definitely for central northern Britain there could be some wintry showers involved with that. All the time the air is coming out of sort of green to the far North Atlantic. It looks pretty chilly. So this is from Tameteo.com. This would be precipitation forecast based on that ECM run. And starting today, it's already turning wet and windy up in the north and west. So it's only going to go in one direction over the coming days as it gets more unsettled. That's tomorrow. Rain will be in the south as we start tomorrow. That should clear away, but it leaves us with a lot of showers, which could merge to longer spells of rain at times. So slightly drier interlude for Saturday, or for most of Saturday, but by the end of the day, it's turning wet and windy again in the north and the west. And by Saturday night into Sunday, we're all into wet and windy conditions. Through Sunday itself, that wet weather gets out of the way. It leaves us with showers, and some of those showers are potentially wintry in the north and northwest in particular. Excuse me, we're into Tuesday, and low pressure rattles back in from off the Atlantic, bringing further bouts of rain, and so that could turn to snow across the northern parts of the country as well. Middle of next week looks very wet for England and Wales, turning towards wintry showers up in the north. Through to Thursday next week, so we've got wintry showers across northern parts of the country, snow showers mainly for Scotland. There's more wet weather piling in off the Atlantic, so that could turn to snow across parts of northern England, North Wales. So this is general election, of course, 12th of December. There is, again, still a possibility, but there's wintry weather around for this general election, particularly for northern parts of the country. So I think all eyes will still be on what's going on for the 12th of December. More spells of rain continuing into the end of next week. Eventually that gets out of the way and it leaves us with colder winds coming in from the north. Remember, there's a suggestion there. This is Saturday the 14th, a week on Saturday. There's a suggestion of sort of wintry weather pushing across the country. So particularly for Scotland, looks like significant snow there. Sort of showery rain, sleet or snow coming in across England and Wales too. And then that leads us as we move up towards day 10 with lots of snow showers packing into the north and the west in particular. Turns a little bit drier in the east and the southeast. You see, up to middle of December, it is not a particularly mild outlook. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which is the 15th of December. We've got 16 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure to our north and west. And we're bringing in this west-southwesterly wind, so they're very unsettled and relatively mild. 15, including the control and the operational run. The operational run is a run we're just looking at, very unsettled and quite cold as the wind is driving in from the North Atlantic. Number 9 just here, that looked very unsettled and cold too. We're on the cool side of the jet stream. 8 with low pressure to the northwest, so that's slightly more west-southwesterly with wind, very unsettled but a little bit milder. And then 3 with something of a mid-Atlantic ridge, a trough of low pressure to our east. They're probably the coldest option. They'd be bringing in wind from a north or northeast direction. Everything looking quite unsettled at day 10 for the middle of the month. And looks like the unsettled weather goes on into 2 weeks' time. So this is the 20th of December. 18 members of the ECM ensemble still with low pressure over to the west of us. 9 with low pressure to the west and through the country. There is a bit of Scandinavian high with those. Another 9 with low pressure over the top of the country and to the west. 8 with low pressure over the country and into the Atlantic. And 7 with low pressure sort of a little bit to our north. Again, all roads seem to be leading towards very unsettled conditions, even as we start to move up towards the Christmas period. A little bit worrying because it won't take much to get river levels rising up again, and let's just hope we don't have any Christmas floods to have to contend with. Finally, the Beijing Climate Centre, so these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period will take us from the 1st to the 10th of December. The coming week has above average heights sort of centred over to the south of the country, below average heights out to the west. Bear in mind, this starts on the 1st of December, so we're 5 days in with this now. So at this point, it's already starting to turn a little bit more unsettled, but that's why it looks rather anticyclonic for the 1st to the 10th of December, because the first 5 days is high pressure, but then the second 5 days will be much more towards low pressure, see what I mean? The next 10-day period is the 11th to the 20th of December. Back to very unsettled conditions, quite cold as well. Winds will be driving in from the west or northwesterly direction with that. Excuse me, again. And then we go through to the next 10-day period, which is the 21st to the 30th of December. This is for Christmas, of course, with above average heights pulling out to the west, below average heights to the north, probably setting up something of a west-northwesterly jet stream. That could be a little bit on the cool side. And for eastern parts of Europe, actually, that will be quite a cold pattern. I've got a trough descending down the eastern side of Europe, so a cold Christmas in the east and the northeast of Europe signalled there. And then finally, the last 10-day period, days 31 to 40, is New Year's Eve to the 9th of January, with again above average heights in the middle of the Atlantic, low pressures up to the north, bringing in a west to potentially slightly northwesterly wind. So it could be a little bit on the cool side, but perhaps not too unsettled away from northern parts of the country anyway. Right, so that's how it's looking, and I have to say, it's looking very, very unsettled for the next week, 10 days. So up to the middle part of December, the Atlantic is unleashed. And we're going to be having everything thrown at us, including the kitchen sink as well. So expect bouts of rain, gale force winds, possibly severe gales at times. Will be cold enough for snow at times as well as we line up jet stream northwest, southeast and move it to our south. So particularly for northern parts of the country, yes, there will be potential for snow, as we saw even for southern areas. By the time you get through to the middle part of the month, wouldn't totally rule out the chance of a little bit of wintry weather at times with some of these systems sweeping across the country. But certainly up to the middle of December, very, very unsettled. And I think the main takeaway will probably be a renewed risk of flooding through next week. As we said in yesterday's video, it does look as though we're going to have the return of the deluge. Just a bit of a suggestion from the GFS extended range that we may start to build up some higher pressure as we just move into the second part of the month. Might turn a bit milder and drier for a day or two. But even then, I mean, it did look as though rain probably not all that far away. And of course, Christmas, it remains to be seen about that. Right, that's it for your videos for today. Just one of them today. Tomorrow we've got JMA Friday. We also have a week 10-day video update, and we've got another Christmas update penciled in for tomorrow. That, of course, is if the voice and the throat holds out. I'll go and get myself a hot drink, I think, a hot lemon drink in a minute. And we'll see how things are looking tomorrow. That's all for now, though, and thanks for watching.